Greetings and salutations. It's Randy O'Cray here at our Cobb County Sheriff's Office, and we are doing another episode of our 30 by 30 Her Strength, Her Story. So today, my special guest with the lovely blonde locks, we have Miss Kristy Patellis.
Hello.
How are you today, Miss Kristy?
I'm wonderful, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. See, she's so polite, ma'am. I'm so good. I'm so Patellis. That name is so catchy. What is the origin of that last name?
So it's Greek, specifically actually from the island of Kalymnos, which is not very far from Turkey.
Okay, so you know any Greek?
I know a few words. I'm still trying to learn because ideally I'd like to go to Greece one day and kind of visit that island. But as of right now, I'm still in the learning process.
Okay, you can say can you say hello, Randy in Greek?
I really just think it's actually hello. I don't think it's anything crazy.
I've been speaking Greek this whole time and I didn't even know it.
Pretty much, yeah.
I love it. So, Kristy, okay, let us know, what is your role here at the Sheriff's Office?
So I am currently an open records technician here in the Sheriff's Office, but I started out as a criminal justice specialist in courts.
Okay, and as people know, we're highlighting our professional staff, also known as civilians, but as a professional staff. So you were a CJS, a criminal justice specialist. So first, tell us, what did that role entail? Like, what were some of your duties?
So specifically with courts, I was working with scheduling inmates for their court dates, working checkpoint security, so making sure that everybody came in appropriately, and we scanned all of the items through the x-ray machines so everyone was safe, kind of that first line defense, as well as monitoring the cameras and doing the security access doors.
Have you ever had to confiscate items from some people going to court? Oh, what are some things you had to confiscate?
I mean, we've got knives, lighters, things like that. Really anything that could be used as a weapon, anything glass. We've had a few firearms come through. I personally haven't had to deal with one of them, but a lot of my coworkers have. So
okay, but people are bringing a knife to court, but it was usually accidental, I'm assuming.
Yeah, pocket knives.
Okay.
Something that they carry on a daily basis that they're like, oh crap, I forgot about this. Even pepper spray.
Okay,
so
you
ladies got the pepper
things.
spray on their keychains.
So good to know. When you are going to any of the Cobb County courts, you cannot have these items. And what were the items you shouldn't bring to court? Let them know.
You've got knives, pepper spray, lighters, definitely firearms. Do not do that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, currently transitioned over to open records technician.
Okay, so what exactly is an open records technician?
So an open records technician is basically a custodian of any records from a public agency. So a lot of our agencies, if not all of them within the county that are government agencies, have an open records department. So any records that are held by the agency, whether it's here at the Sheriff's Office, the police department, even I'm pretty sure water department has their own.
Okay.
Any records that are held by an agency, a public entity, are subject to open records. So we're just kind of the custodians of it. We pull and supply those records when requested.
Okay, and so anyone in the public can request open records, right? Is there a fee for that?
It depends. By law for the state of Georgia, the first 15 minutes is free. Other than that, it's done by the hourly rate of the lowest paid individual that can do it. Unless it's copies. Copies is different.
There's a charge for copies, I would assume,
yes.
too, yeah. Okay, that's interesting to know.
Yeah.
Now, so you were a CJS, and then you were in open records, and how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
Coming up on 3 years. January will be 3 years that I've been with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, so now let me ask you this. So, when we think of the Sheriff's Office, most people think of the deputies and things of that, but they don't really know much about the professional staff. Now, the main thing for this series is kind of highlighting women that's working in law enforcement, as we want to have 30% or more of women working in law enforcement by the year 2030. So in your role, CJS, is that a mostly male role? Men typically work in that role? Is it women, or is it kind of both for you?
Actually, for CJS, it's mainly women, specifically up in courts. We did have a couple of male CJSs, but they transitioned over to sworn. So mainly we're female dominated. Now out of the jail, because I did do a little bit of time out there helping out, they're kind of a healthy mix.
A healthy mix. So in courts, what's the difference between a CJS and a deputy that works in the courts?
So a CJS is strictly a civilian. We don't carry any of the same equipment. We are doing kind of, I don't really want to call it like admin work, but it's kind of what it is. It's kind of the behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's more the support for the sworn, doing all the extra tasks, like scheduling, like watching the cameras, watching the x-ray machine, while they're watching the public.
So when you were in your CJS role, which you said was mostly female dominated in that role, and you're working amongst deputies that were predominantly male, did you ever feel a difference, them treating you any differently as a woman, or?
Honestly, I can happily say no.
Good.
When I first started, I was very afraid of that. Just because of the older stigma that, it's a male-dominated industry, you're going to be treated different as a woman, but I was pleasantly and very happily surprised that that's not the case.
Good.
I have a lot of very good standing relationships with all the deputies, male and female. Nobody really treated me any differently being a woman.
Well,
So,
I'd love to hear that, and that's at
Yeah.
the sheriff's office.
yes, definitely.
Thank you, Sheriff Owens.
Yes.
Okay, and now what about with the open records? Is there like mostly men that work in there, mostly women, all women?
It's all women. We're
All
a team of
women.
3 right now, 3 out of 4.
Okay.
And we're all women. So
How is that working now? We're highlighting our women, but working with all women, how is that?
So in a smaller group like up in Open Records where there's only a couple of us, we work really well together. I love this team. I love my courts team as well. You have a lot more different personalities, whereas up in Open Records with only there just being a handful of us, we kind of all have a very similar personality.
Oh, good.
Being up there.
Particular.
Yes.
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 You have to be with open records. You have
Definitely.
to dot
Oh
every
my
T,
goodness.
Cross every I.
And then some.
Dot every I, cross every T. Yes.
It sounded fine to me at the time.
I'm like, get it right. But yes, okay, so everybody's pretty much on top of it.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Prior to working at the sheriff's office, did you have any other experience in law enforcement?
Not personal experience. I grew up in a law enforcement household, actually.
Oh.
My dad was with the Cobb County Police Department. He retired in 2019. So other than kind of growing up in that
wow.
mentality, this is my first time dealing with public safety on a career standpoint.
So, 2 questions. First, how did your dad feel with you going to the sheriff's office and not the PD? And then secondly, what brought you to want to work for the sheriff's office?
To answer the first question, he's perfectly fine with it.
Okay.
It was one of those things that he and I had a long conversation about, police department versus sheriff's office. And he's actually the one that suggested that I come over here.
Did he say why? Can you tell?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't,
a safe
because
answer,
just because it's been a while. I know it's been a while. I don't remember what he said.
He just encouraged you, like, do the sheriff's office, babe.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's even happy that I'm over here. He's happy that I'm enjoying it and loving it every minute. So.
Okay, and so then the second question, so what brought you to the sheriff's office just in general, being that you really didn't have a career before in law enforcement?
Just because I grew up in law enforcement, I did kind of want to stick with something that was familiar.
Okay.
Because if I wasn't going to really go law enforcement, I was actually thinking of going veterinary medicine. But just
you were going to be a vet instead. Wow.
But things happen in life, and that kind of got a little deterred for health reasons. So I just decided, you know what? Let me see where I can go with this. And here I am, almost 3 years later.
I love that. That's such a fun fact with your dad. And so did he ever kind of maybe give you a heads up about how sometimes there's gender bias in law enforcement? Did you guys ever have conversations about that?
If we did, they were very brief. They would have been definitely before I started working here. But he knows that, I'm a very headstrong person, that, I don't want to say like the whole, I'm not going to take any crap type thing. But, it's one of those of just being that he knows that I'm a very strong individual and that I'm going to want to be respected and not walked over, basically.
Yeah, and do you, even though that's you naturally, but you going into a male-dominated field, does it make you want to even be stronger to stand on that? Like, okay, nobody's gonna push me over. Like, I'm friends, but don't try me.
Definitely, because I mean there is still a slight stigma, and it still is partially there, because as a woman, we're not stronger than men. Some of us may be faster, right? Me too. But we may not be faster. Some of us may, some of us may not. So I mean, we have to have some sort of leg to stand on.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so with that, I like that you said that. I like that you're going the angle of you being a strong person. Like, in your roles, the CJS, even as an open records technician, do you find yourself wanting to leave like an impression or a legacy for women that come behind you? Do you
Definitely.
Talk about
Definitely. I want to pave a way and a basis of really expectations.
Yes.
Because I mean, any agency is going to want the best of the best, and especially us.
Yes.
That's what we're striving for. That's what we're working towards. Like you said, having more women in this workforce. We need to have some sort of expectations and basis for them to build on top of us.
Yes.
The ones that come after us, that come in between, the women that started with us way back before, they laid the groundwork for us to be even sitting here today doing this interview. So
like our chief deputy.
Right.
Rhonda Anderson and Assistant Chief Gina Hawkins, like, I definitely like, wow, girl power, like, big deal. I love to see it.
So that's kind of my my take on it, is to add that extra stepping stone for the ones that follow us.
And do you find it even more important, because again, I think people forget that in law enforcement it's just not sworn. You have civilians or professional staff. Do you find yourself wanting to make sure you're an influence to those who maybe want to get into it, and realizing you don't have to be sworn to have a career in law enforcement?
Correct. I'll be honest, I didn't know much before coming here about what job opportunities there were for civilians. I thought it was strictly just admin specialists. You sit behind a desk and you're somebody's admin. I didn't realize that there's a larger scope to civilian work in law enforcement until I actually applied to be a criminal justice specialist, where I started, and then it kind of opened my eyes of, oh man, I could go here, I could go here, there's this, that, and the other. Had no idea.
I love it. Pleasant surprises at the sheriff's office.
Exactly.
So let's switch the gears a little bit. So Kristy, outside of the wonderful sheriff's office, who is Kristy outside of this? Like, what does she do for fun? Like, is she a fun girl? Is she a bore girl? What is it?
I'd probably say I'm a little more on like the bore side of fun.
I don't believe it, Kristy. I don't believe it.
I'm very family and friend oriented.
Okay.
I love to spend time with my friends and my family.
Are you an only child?
I am.
Oh,
yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Okay.
So I definitely like my me time, but I also have no problem going and hanging out with my friends. Now, I'm not going to be one to be out till like 3 o'clock in the morning. That's
Kristy,
not me.
You're acting like you're a grandma. Oh my God, why not?
It's just not me, I know. But I do prefer to, be with my friends and have those more intimate, fun moments.
Yes.
Whether it's, hanging out with a bonfire with friends, or, even just going to a small party with them, things like that. So
for fun, what you like for fun is really just spending time with your loved ones and your friends. Like, that just, nothing beats it.
Yes.
I love that.
That's the fixing for me. That's what grounds me, is just being with my people.
I feel the same way with grounding. Like, if I need to be grounded, I need to take a trip to Texas and come back to reality, and then I'm good. So
there you go.
I definitely understand that.
Yep.
All right, so the last thing I have for you, Ms. Patellis, so we kind of talked about it, but I want, what word of advice would you like to give to any young lady who's considering a career in law enforcement, whether they want to be a sworn individual or if they want to be a professional/civilian staff? What advice would you give them with pursuing that?
I would say from a professional staff civilian side, is being respectful. You only get one chance to make a first impression. that's how people see you. You know, you can't go back and make a second first impression or a third. How you perceive yourself and how you show people who you are is how they're going to remember you and how they're going to be talking about you. Now, as sworn, that's the same concept as well. But be strong. And I don't just mean being physically strong, I mean being mentally and emotionally strong, because you know, people in the public still see women as slightly minority in this environment. You know, and so you kind of have to prove yourself a little more, you know, than the men do, because it's to be expected that they're here. I mean, like this whole conversation, it's a male-dominated industry and a male-dominated field. So you kind of have to push yourself a little more, but still understanding that you only get that one chance to make a first impression.
So make it count.
Yes.
So this concludes our interview session today with another one of our professional staff / civilian staff, Ms. Kristy Patellis, and our open records department. We hope to see you again in the next 30 by 30.